everyone! Welcome back! I am back today with more Jojolion Manga review, you guys. We got another good batch today. Last batch was just exceptionally bizarre. I would say bizarre is a good way to put it. Really lived up to the name. Just kind of like a bombshell. Just really, I know it left a lot of us reeling. Yeah, I would like to briefly get into a couple things before we get started on today's batch. We're doing chapters 13 through 16 today. Before I get started on everything, I do just want to say, if you're joining me early today, you know just what that means. It means you are one of my awesome patrons. Thank you so very much. And as always, I am sending up those big old hugs right through that screen. And if not, still, thank you for joining me today. I am glad you're here. I do hope you'll consider supporting me that way. The link to my Patreon is going to be in that description down below. And if you're joining me on the YouTubes, I really hope you'll hit like and subscribe for me. It helps me in my channel a whole lot. So thank you in advance for that. Yeah, guys, to say we had a lot going on last time is kind of the understatement of the century. Not only did we wrap up a stand fight, get more weird family scenes, start a new stand fight, but of course, I think the biggest takeaway from that entire batch that we did last time was the family tree and getting to know and see just like where everything landed in this universe. Because when I first started this, I was like, I guess we're not like every other JoJo part. Well, not part 5, but every other part besides 7, where we're just like starting anew, we always kind of knew or figured out really quickly the connection between like the bloodline, between the, you know, all the legacy characters. And like if we didn't start out with it or we didn't like know it right away, we found out pretty quickly. And even in part 5, we found out like first episode. So I was kind of thinking like, okay, well, it's all right. I guess, you know, maybe he's not into that anymore. Maybe Araki has just moved on from like having to connect everything back to like a certain family line. And like, you know, maybe he just wants to explore other things. I was so wrong. And I'm glad I was wrong. Because you know me, I'm a big sucker for all the legacy stuff. And although we don't, get to see as much of like a passing of the torch, I feel like in this one, not that we did in like part 5 really either. You know, we don't actually get to see like a lot of the relatives interacting, although we will get to see some stuff in this batch. But I mean, like, we don't get to have a whole part with like Joseph and Jotaro, you know what I mean? Like, it's still nice to know that like it's so connected. And arguably a big focus of this part of the arc, at least, if not maybe the whole, I don't know, if not maybe even the whole entire part, is kind of like why is this family tree such a like big secret? Like, why can't anyone go up there? And why can't, like, so like something is going on in this family, and trust me, it gets weirder and weirder and weirder. Just wait until we get into today's chapters. But yeah, a couple things I did want to point out last time. First of all, I was so happy to see that y'all were just as blown away by the family tree as I was, by the stuff that changed, the bloodlines that merged, the things that stayed the same, but were tweaked to perfection as they should have been originally, as they should have never been tampered with in the first place. He learned his lesson and he gave us a gift. That's how I like to think of it. That is how I like to think of it. So I had a lot of fun with that. By the way, I did not get to mention that they changed Johnny's mother's name in this to Anne. So I believe her name in Phantom Blood was Mary. And in this, she's Anne, and I like to think that's a little nod to part 3. I don't remember if I said that last time. I don't think I did. I don't remember saying anything about Anne. But, you know, I had no hate for Anne in part 3. A lot of people just, like, hated Anne. And I'm like, you know what? It's, if you hated Anne, then so be it. But, like, I don't know. I like to see it just a little bit. I was really hoping she'd be Jotaro's wife in part 6. But, you know, you can't have everything, you guys. He undid the cheating. Let's just leave it at that, okay? Like, we got our gift of the century from Araki. Let's not go pushing the envelope. So, people would have been so mad if he had married Anne. Oh my God. I mean, there was an age gap, but it wasn't like so big that you would have noticed when they were in their 20s or so. I think it was like a 4-year maybe age gap. I can't remember. I don't know. Who cares? So anyway, I did want to point out a few things that were pointed out to me or that I noticed after the fact. One is that the scene that we had with the laundry scene, right? We did that last time, right? Yeah, that was last time, where Josuke's doing his laundry. Yeah. We did that last time. He's doing his laundry and Joshu comes up and just gets right up in his face and just is a jerk for no reason, as Joshu always does. He had like a knife behind his back, and someone pointed out to me that is very, very much like the Phantom Blood scene where we have Jonathan and Dio kind of scuffling a little bit in like the parlor, whatever, I don't know, foyer, I don't know, mansions of the Joestar mansion, and the dad catches them, and Dio has like an honest God knife. Dio was like going to, yeah. So what does that tell you, you guys? That Joshu is already exhibiting Dio behavior. It's not a good sign. I'm telling you right now. I'd say, I just feel like in a way, like comparing Joshu to Dio though is almost like an insult to Dio. Because at least Dio had like, there was some, I don't know. I feel like you hated him and he was icky in a lot of ways, but he was a substantial villain. I feel like Joshu's just kind of like a little wiener, Like he's just kind of being a wiener. I don't know. Maybe he's a Dio in training. Who knows? The other thing that I want to point out is that, and I think I realized this, but I forgot to say it, and I don't think I had like put together the full irony of it until I was kind of thinking it over a little bit between filming. Jotaro in this is Kira, and he's a doctor on a ship. He's like a sailor. Jotaro has PhD and is a marine biologist. So like, I don't know, I feel like it's kind of a fun, like I didn't put it together right away, but it's like, oh my God, he's like, now he's an MD here instead of a PhD, but he's still on the ocean. He's still a doctor. And yeah, so you know what? Now that I know that he's Jotaro, I can see some of his like kind of salty nature a little bit more. Like we had that one flashback. We were just giving that surfer like a hard time for like really I think for no reason. Like, I don't know. I'm going to go out on a limb and say maybe he knew that the guy wasn't a good guy. Maybe he had a bad feeling. Maybe he knew about a thing that had happened with the guy's stand. I don't know. But like, it kind of just felt like he was just being a jerk to him for being what did I say? Sailor? I meant surfer. Did I say surfer? I don't know. So anyway, guys, we have a lot to cover today. You're not going to want to miss any of this, and I'm not going to want to rush through it. So let's just jump right into chapter 13. As we know, where we left Josuke, he was like sliding down a wall dying in the midst of an attack from this motorcycle person. GPS is going crazy. We know the name of the chapters. The name of the arc is Paisley Park and Born This Way, but we don't know what stand is what. We don't know who is running these stands. Like, we're so in the dark about everything. So, Josuke is all beat up, thinking that he doesn't even know who he is, but all he knows is that he needs to find out more about Holly. So he knows that whatever this attack is, it's gotta be the person on the motorcycle doing it. The GPS, meanwhile, is going crazy, and it almost feels like he's being, like, blown by the wind. It looks like he's, in this shot, it looks like he's, like, being blown by the wind in another direction. There's wind. There's wind activity. So, it's not weather report. I'll set a spoiler. It's not weather report. Although, I would love, oh my God, I would love to see, like, part 6. I wonder if we'll get any like part 6 characters in this, like we'll get just like a random like the Morio Mailman is like on a Sui or something. That makes no sense. But a lot of this doesn't make sense, guys. You have to make sense of it, okay? The sense is what you make of it. Where was I? So he's using his stand in the bubble to like plug up his wounds kind of at this point, which I'm like, that's really cool. So, I mean, it's no crazy diamond, but you know, again, Josuke couldn't use courtesy time on himself anyway, so, you know, what are you gonna do? So Josuke calls Yasuho and tells her he isn't very far, but he isn't gonna be able to join her, and like she'd be in danger if she tried to come to him. So just go on ahead without him and go meet Holly. Like, this is important. So the GPS is telling him to turn right over and over, and he's just like, what is with this GPS? And I'm like, honey, you gotta know it's a standby now. Like, I know there's a lot of unknowns, but like, this is not your average GPS. So he realizes that it's telling him an even different route from the one that it mentioned before, and he starts to put together there's something about it. He's a smart boy, he's a Joestar, he's gonna figure it out. So the motorcycle is coming back, this like rider stand is coming back, and he starts to wonder if someone found out that he was looking into the family tree. Like, maybe that's why they're after him. I mean, don't forget, like, Kira apparently had the same mark that was on the stairs, meaning he was looking into this and like, he's dead, so can't be a good sign. So something starts to blow into his eye. It's so gross, guys. I apologize in advance. Like, trigger warning, it's very, very gross. The winds made everything freeze, and there's like icicles in his eye, and they're like, his eyes bleed. I don't do eye stuff, so it's very icky to me. So he tries to call out Stan, but he's slipping, he's falling, he's getting more things stuck in him. It's like he's like going through a tornado. So Josuke yells out to motorcycle person, but the wind just keeps coming and freezing everything on his body. And the GPS is just still trying to tell him where to go. Like, this GPS won't quit. So the person is gaining on him, and the GPS is like, make a U-turn now. Like, it's starting to get a little bit, yeah, you ever hear like your GPS sometimes kind of freaks out a little bit, but this one's like really freaking out. So then it tells him to turn upwards, and he's like, wait, what? Did it say turn upwards? So he grabs onto a pole nearby, and he kicks the motorcycle person in the face, climbs up the pole. So the helmet comes off the motorcycle person, and guess what? It's not a person. It looks like a stand. Like, it doesn't look like a human person. That's when he figures out that there are actually two stands at work here. The GPS and the motorcycle stand. Because remember I said last time, it almost kind of looks like the way it's set up, it looks like the person riding the motorcycle must be the user, and the GPS is the stand. It's actually two different stands. So who are the users? What the heck is going on? Okay, so he realizes the GPS is an ally, but he can't figure out who it is. And his only real ally up to now has been Yasuho. So my guess at this point was Yasuho. Then we cut to Yasuho in the story, and she's rubbing her lower leg, which appears to have like the same marks on it that Josuke had on his shoulder, like when we first met him. They looked like the bite marks or something. And that's when she hears a woman talking about meters and distance of meters to birds, and mentioning like which birds they specifically are. Josuke does the same thing with distance, first of all, and he mentioned a few chapters back when he woke up in the hospital that like he could remember certain things like different types of birds. So I'm like, and if he's Kira, and Kira's supposed to be Holly's son, like mother, like son, maybe. And then she says like they're migratory birds, just like her, almost like somebody who migrated from America to Japan. Finn. First of all, Finn. Second of all, I did have to think twice when I said that, because in the original universe, she had grown up in America and then moved to Japan. I'm assuming she did the same thing. Did they say she was American born in this? I forget, because they did give like a little bit about her, and I'm guessing the answer would be yes, because Johnny was American. And I feel like they mentioned at some point, I don't remember if I highlighted this or if it was just in one of the like screen captures, but I feel like they mentioned that Johnny moved Rina from Japan to America. Like, they were married and everything and had their family and everything in America. I guess we're to assume that George and Elizabeth were American, unless maybe George was American, but then Elizabeth was British. I don't know. Or like, I mean, they did have history in Britain. Like, maybe George went there for I don't know. But I feel like that feels like a really big stretch, and I feel like the simplest answer is that George and Elizabeth were American, and that means Joseph actually was American, not just moved to America, but he was American. And one thing I realized, I don't think I got to say last time, the huge irony of the fact that Joseph went on so much about Japan and how mad he was in the whole original universe up to part 4, where he was suddenly super chill about it, because can't even imagine how badly it sounds to have him saying stuff like that after we know that he was with a Japanese woman. So they toned that down a lot, and he was just in general mellowed out. But the irony of the fact that in this he actually has Japanese heritage, it's pretty amazing. It's pretty fun and interesting. And I wish. I do think at some point we're at least going to see him. But I don't know how much we're actually, like, now I kind of wish we had a whole part just about him, you know, but we'll get to know through, like, and like there's no Hime, so like was Lisa or Elizabeth in this, because she never had to be Lisa. Like, did George live a long happy life? Did Joseph have both as parents? Like, did Lisa know, like, did Lisa know spin and stuff? Did she know instead of Hamon in this? Like, I'm so curious. Now I could take like a whole extra story about that. But everything I was saying was leading up to, I still think Holly would have been American in this. Like, they haven't come out, I think they didn't come out and say it outright, but yeah, like that, it sounds like they all grew up in America. So the migratory bird thing is probably although she does have Japanese heritage in this, which is cool. But yeah, so migratory birds, that was the whole point of this entire thing. This one was a pretty quick one. A lot of these chapters in this batch are quick because they're like action-y action ones. But yeah, so basically now we know for sure they're two different stands. We know that the motorcycle person is not a person, that is a stand. So, you know, I would love to know what you were thinking at this point, because I kind of know what I was thinking. I was thinking that like the last thing we saw, well, you know what? I'll save that because they're going to go into that a little bit more. They'll go into a little bit more of like who the motorcycle person probably is, and then we'll find out who it is. But yeah, like at this point, the GPS trying to help him, like, yeah, I'm like, he really only has like one friend in this world, like true friend. And that's Yasuo, basically. I mean, Daya likes him, but like, yeah. I mean, the family, I don't know. There was a lot of mixed feelings on the family too in the comments, and I totally get it, because like on the one hand, they're so fun to watch and they're so entertaining and they're so just like out there, and we get a great focus on them and it's so much fun. But at the same time, like, they're not really like likable either. They're not like, yeah, that's my guy Norsuke, you know? Like, it's kind of like, oh, you are entertaining and then you'll be super freaking weird or hostile even for some reason. Like the way he was to, apparently although now I'm kind of starting to wonder. At the end of this batch, we'll talk about, did Norsuke actually give that message to the maid to give to Yasuo? We'll talk about it. So, all right, so that was chapter 13, right? Okay, so let's just jump right into it. 14's a lot longer, so chapter 14, here we go. We open with another updated list of who's who. Oh yeah, I want to make sure I was on the right one. I'm like, wait a minute, did they show her already? They did. Guess who's there, you guys? Holly, Joestar, Kira, and it's indeed the woman that we just met. So we get a great shot of her and her design, and wow, did she just get like JoJo'd up this time around, you guys? She has such a like very, it looks like a JoJo design, you know what I mean? She doesn't look like she's just a normal person. Like she did in part 3. She just looked like a soccer mom or a housewife or whatever. Nah, she got JoJo-fied in this one. Honestly, she kind of looks like Hot Pants to me. Her hair isn't actually pink, I don't think, but she has like a pink hood. So there's something about it that's just like, it's giving Hot Pants. I like to think it's a little nod to Hot Pants. So yeah, so Holly sees Yasuho outside her room, and Holly starts like crawling on the ground to sneak up on her, and Yasuho does like a total jump scare, and it's pretty funny actually. So Holly starts saying, "This is crazy, you look just like her, like how are you here," and all this stuff. And I'm just like, oh god, don't tell me like Yasuho is somehow secretly related to this family tree too or something. Like, I will lose it, like, for so many reasons. First of all, because like we're bringing so many different like bloodlines into the Joestar bloodline. Second of all, because I want to be able to ship her and Josuke, and so no freaking thank you. Like, don't make them related. Okay, so then it's not what I was thinking. She pulls out a magazine and asks Yasuho, like, do your parents know about this? And she shows her, and it's a graphic photo from, it's not really graphic, but it's a photo that you could not show on television during the day, let's put it that way, from an adult magazine that she just happened to have. And she's like, oh my god, this is you. And Yasuho grabs it and she's like, shut up, that is not me. Like, it doesn't even look like me. And honestly, it doesn't look like her at all. It doesn't look like her at all. And she's like, you're joking, right? Because like, I have someone that I kind of like and everything. And I'm like, I wonder who that could be. I ship them so much. It's probably my favorite ship since maybe like Jonathan and Erina. And I'd say since Joseph and Susie, but we didn't really get to see their like, we saw them flirt for like 2 seconds and that was it. Like, that was the ship. That's, I mean, but here, like, we actually get to see, like, the buildup of, like, how they like each other, and I love it. I'm here for it. So she introduces herself and says she came here to see Holly, who's surprised about that. Is that right? Yeah. Yes. So Holly is surprised to hear that. Sorry, sometimes my notes just sound like Yoda speak, and it's hard to keep up with them. So Yasuho says, hey, you know, your son is Yoshikage Kira, right? And Holly's face just like changes for a second. Like, she's been pretty jovial up to this point, but you could see something like kind of go a little bit suspicious in her eyes. So she goes to show her a picture, Yasuho does, and one of the nurses comes in to ask Yasuho what she's doing there. And Yasuho is explaining that she has something important to discuss with Holly, and she's like, hey, you know, what is she hospitalized for anyway? And the nurse freaks out and is saying, like, how could you come here without knowing what's going on? Get out, I'm calling security, and all this stuff. So Holly starts giving measurements as Yasuho is getting dragged away. Like, she starts like spouting them off, and Yasuho's like, wait, what? And Holly's like, those are your measurements, right? And she offers to give her the magazine, but then is like, nah, you don't need it since you're just this person in the magazine anyway. And then proceeds to just open her duty mag and read it, you know, just like it's not a big deal. So another thing, Josuke also did that. He also was saying something really, really early on. Again, I think it was when they were in the hospital at the very beginning, and he was saying something about her bust measurements, I'm pretty sure. So Yasuho realizes this. She's like, hey, no, she's kind of similar to Josuke, and is trying to tell Holly about her son as she's getting dragged away. And Holly's just like, thank you. You did well to come here. Come and see me again, okay? And then we see her thinking to herself, oh, it looks like she's already subconsciously using it. And we see, as Yasuo's getting dragged away, a stand, like, on the floor. It's not a reflection, but it's like a, I don't know, because they don't have reflections or shadows or anything, but it's like the actual stand, just like seen on the floor. And so Holly's thinking she should keep investigating the family tree, and says if she realizes that, she will give strength to my son, and surely this is fate. And I'm just like, what is that? How much do you know? She can see stands, which means she probably has a stand. I always said it would have been cool if Holly had a, I don't remember if I actually even said that, but I always thought that it would be cool if Holly actually learned to use her stand, kind of like what Josuke did. You know, they both got sick, but like Josuke came out with Crazy Diamond, and it would have been cool if Holly had one as well. So Holly is so different in this, you guys. Like, she's, I don't know what vibes she's giving, honestly. She's definitely not giving part 3 Holly. Like, she's very, like, kind of, there's something definitely going on, and I'm wondering what the scope of her illness is. I'm wondering, like, if it's physical, like, what is it, psychological, like, what is going on? Because she's definitely, you know, her personality is very different from Holly, and I can't tell if it's she has a very different personality, like so many of our characters have demonstrated, even though they have namesakes from the old universe, or if there's like something going on with her causing her to act that way. I really honestly don't know. So meanwhile, we cut to Josuke. He still can't figure out who these two stand users are, but that they must be close by, and the GPS is definitely helping him. So the GPS brings him to the window of an elderly woman who's just eating some ramen, and she's just staring at him while he's on the run, and he's just like, excuse me, and takes off according to the GPS's navigation. And I'm just like, this elderly woman is totally me snacking and watching whatever weird crap is going on JoJo's, like in the latest episode. Like, I think we can all relate. So meanwhile though, the motorcycle stand catches up with him. The GPS starts freaking out again, telling him to make a U-turn, and the wind stuff starts up again. So he has to cut through poor Granny's house to get away, and poor Granny gets covered in ice and snow, and even her ramen does because of this wind. And the stand even comes crashing through the house, and I'm just like, poor Granny, like the property damage, her lunch is ruined, what is happening? So the GPS is guiding him through the house and starting to sound like more desperate. So GPS wants him to go upstairs, but he's saying like he doesn't know how the motorcycle keeps locking onto him, and he's getting worried that he might run out of places to run if he gets stuck upstairs. And at this point, I'm honestly starting to wonder if maybe the GPS wants him to go up. Like, this is the second time the GPS wants him to go up. Maybe it's because of like a condition of the motorcycle stand. Like maybe it's like Green Day, where it has to do with like being at a certain altitude. But then Josuke's like, oh, well, maybe the other stand is just hearing the GPS, and that's how it knows where he's going. And I'm like, oh, okay. Well, I guess simplest explanation could be the explanation. So he actually says, like in horror movies, the person who goes to the second floor always dies. And I'm like, yes, finally someone is paying attention to horror movie rules and trying to respect them. And I respect that. So the rider catches up with him, and Josuke demands to know who it is. He uses his stand on it, but his stand's arm and his arm shatter when he goes to do it. So as if this wasn't bad enough, there's a kid in this house. On top of all of this, there's a small child dwelling in this labyrinth of danger. So Josuke's telling the kid, like, close the door. And that's when he puts it together. All of this happened around something opening or closing. The notebook was open and then it closed. The door was closed and then it was open. And so Josuke's figuring this out, and he's like, I'm sorry to yell at you, but you need to close the door right now. And they're both behind the closed door, and the kid is just freaking out. Like, he's a really little kid too. Like, he's not even like he's like, I don't know if he's toddler, but he's small. And Josuke realizes that it's not there anymore, and the snow is gone too. So Josuke's being so sweet to the kid. He's like asking him to open the window for him and telling him he'll give him a gummy if he stops crying. And so they look out the window and the stand's not there. So then he's like, sorry, I didn't actually have a gummy, but could you try opening the door for me, please? Never offer a gummy if you don't have one, but I get it. We're in a life and death situation. So he puts it together that the lock-on targeting system is based on Josuke opening something specifically. When the boy does it, nothing happens. It has to be Josuke that opens something, and that's what triggers it. Finn, you guys. The next one's super short too, honestly. 16's about regular size, but we got kind of a short batch today, but it's all good because there's a lot of stuff. I know at this point, the only chapter ahead that I know is the one after this, like chapter 17. And even that one, I know that we have like some stuff going on. So Holly, what do you guys think of Holly in this? She's, I don't know, there's something about her that's kind of giving like part 4 Joseph. Like, not so much the nudie mag stuff, but just the like kind of, you know, you remember like Yoda in Empire Strikes Back?
we could get our ship out, we would, but we can't. So why don't you just
get your ship out?
Hey, get out of there!
No!
Hey, you could have broken this. Don't do that.
Kind of like that. That's kind of the vibe that I'm getting. Like, definitely you know something, and you have a lot more info than you're letting on, and you probably have a lot more wisdom and awareness of the situation than you're letting on. However, your impish nature is making it hard to read. And honestly, maybe that's exactly how she wants it. Maybe that impish nature has been keeping her safe. Like, I don't know what it, like, I don't know what it is exactly that we're after. Like, all I know at this point is that she must have a stand. She can see stands. She's aware that something's going on with her son. I don't think she knows if he died or not. I really don't. I don't want to be a fly on the wall when she has to find out that her son died. I really don't want to. I used to, like, I legit, like, thank God, a Stone Ocean spoiler here. If you're a part skipper, don't listen to this, because I'm about to lay some Stone Ocean stuff on you. But I used to, like, get so upset about that after Stone Ocean, but thank God they ended it the way that they did, because, like, I think I would have been heartbroken thinking of, like, her having to get the news that her son died and her granddaughter. Anywho, so I'm not looking forward to that, but she is very interesting. I'm really curious to, like, why? Okay. And we're gonna revisit this at the end of the batch, because there's so much to suggest that, like, something is going on. There's a lot of secrecy surrounding, like, the Joestar family. And the Higashikata family is perpetuating it. But, like, I'm not sure why. And honestly, like, they're all related. Like, they're related at, like, the Higashikatas now are descendants of Rina's brother. So they're, like, what? Don't ask me how many times removed, but they're, like, several times removed cousins. So I don't know if this is, like, a family thing. I don't know. We'll revisit it, because there's even more to it, and I'm sure there's even more beyond, like, what I know. This week I can jump back in and start reading again, because I've been holding off to get caught up to, like, where I originally, like, binge read to. And I'm so excited, because I have missed reading Jojolion so much. I mean, but I've been rereading it as I do, the notes and everything. But I want to read more. That's why I started binge reading it in the first place, because it was so freaking good. So yeah. Meanwhile, we figured out the kind of the quirk to the stand. It was kind of like, everyone thinks of My Hero when they think of quirks, but we kind of figured out, like, the condition, I guess, if you want to put it that way, to the stand in this case, which was interesting. It has to do with opening and closing. So yeah, this was a good one. Again, another action one, but definitely some really interesting stuff going on with Holly. So let's just get right into it. Chapter 15. This is a short one, but we kick off with a description of the stand, Paisley Park. And guess whose stand it is? If you said Yasuho, like me, you were right. Apparently she got it after hurting her leg at the Walleyes, which is why she was kind of, like, checking her leg in the last one. She's unconsciously guiding in the form of maps or a marking. So her big motivation has been to help Josuke this whole time. So it makes a lot of sense that, like, her stand would be one that's like trying to guide him, trying to help him. And also Paisley Park, I actually knew the name reference before even having to look it up this time, because I was listening to Prince and one of the albums is called Paisley Park. So I actually knew it. Yay! Especially with the newer ones, I feel like I have to be told to look them up, because I probably knew more of the classic rock ones than I did of the newer ones. Like, once we got past 80s, I started to get a little bit fuzzier on everything. 90s I'm okay, but it depends on, like, what 90s you're doing too, because, like, I don't know a lot of, like, early 90s contemporary pop, but I know, like, late 90s, like, teen pop really well, because that was, like, my era. Anywho, Josuke figures out that opening something like his eyes or his lips doesn't trigger it, and he realizes that all this started happening after he left the Higashikata house. And this is where I was like, I kind of been thinking it the whole time that when he left the house, the only one left there, like everyone else I think was gone, or like we didn't see them. The only one left there was the maid, was our Nijimura friend who was cleaning and stuff. And I'm like, I'll bet you anything it's the maid. Just wait. So he's like hopping on rooftops and he sees like, oh God, there's this moment where he sees a family photo through a window and he asks himself if there are like any family photos like that with him in them anywhere. And he decides there must not be because no one's even looking for him. And I'm just like, baby boy, he's so sweet. He just wants to be loved. He just has like this undeniable like puppy energy, you guys. Like he's like a big puppy. I can see why they named him after a puppy. I really can. I can see why they named him after a puppy. Little puppy Josuke. Honestly, like if I had known how apropos that was going to be, oh, I'm not going to be able to do it. I was going to show you my, oh dang it. I'm not going to be able to show it to you. It's hooked up too well. But I have this cute little, plushie of like part 4 Josuke, and hang on. You know what? Let me just get it because you got to see it now. I'm sorry my face is in your face. Hopefully I don't wreck my camera doing this. Cause like, look at how ironic this is. I got this when I was watching like part 5, but it's puppy Josuke, part 4 puppy Josuke. And I was just like, oh my God, Josuke as a puppy is like 2 of my favorite things. I gotta get it. But like little did I know there would be an actual like literal puppy Josuke coming. It worked out really well, honestly. Okay, so I was in the middle of a chapter. I'm so sorry. Like I digressed really hard there. Okay, he's hopping rooftops and oh yeah, I already said that part about the family photo and my heart breaks for him. So finally he's back on the streets again and he asks someone for directions to the hospital and this guy has a map and Josuke starts to help him open it and then Josuke starts freaking out like, why are you trying to get me to open this map? Get away from me. And like, honey, he's trying to help you. You were the one who started pulling the map open. Like, what are you doing? So finally he makes it to the hospital, but he can't open the door himself. So he's like leaning on a taxi, waiting for someone to do it for him. When the driver sees him and the taxi door opens. So this rider comes flying out at him. He and the rider are fighting right in the street. The rider's trying to push him until he like crashes into a nearby wall. And he realizes this person is like really serious about killing him. So he tries to get out a soap bubble, but the wind thing is starting up again and it's freezing the bubble. So he finally tries getting some traction against it and his stand like just starts pummeling the other stand. So the stand goes flying and Josuke is trying to brace this motorcycle like itself with his hands. Then the rider's back on the motorcycle and Josuke is still hanging on and he can't send out any soap bubbles because they freeze as soon as they come out. So he's like, I'm never gonna make it to Holly. But then he notices that the stand's face is exposed because he managed to break apart the helmet. So he did manage to get some damage in on it. Finned, chapter 15. That was a really short one. I really hope I didn't like accidentally skip some pages or something, or like some pages didn't load while I was reading it. But I think it was just like a shorter one. Like this, a lot of them in this batch were a little bit shorter than usual. Not a whole lot going on in that one. Just that like I think we're starting to put together maybe what's going on. Like we know that Paisley Park is Yasuho. Oh yeah, didn't we start out with the Yeah. So now we know for sure who Paisley Park belongs to Yasuho, and again makes a lot of sense considering her whole motivation in this is to help Josuke, that she would have like, and honestly it's kind of a sick stand to have. It's one of those ones that like it's not inherently like offensive in its capabilities, but if you know how to use it, it would be really, really cool to have, especially if you were like working in a team dynamic. You know, being able to like guide away from danger and stuff like that. I would say like it's pretty cool because I think most of the time it's fairly accurate. And like being able to spot okay, don't move here because you're gonna get hurt, or don't move here because it's coming for you, and blah, blah, blah. So that's pretty sick, I gotta say. Like, that would be a really, really good one to have. And even though it's not inherently, like, combative, it comes in super handy in combat, because if you know, like, where not to be and where to be, that's like, strategy is always like not even half the battle withstands. I mean, it's like, you know, 9/10 of the battle withstand. So it's a great strategic one. And yeah, so now we know that's her stand. Of course, we kind of knew, like, we knew that she had a stand. And if you know that one of the two is her stand, it doesn't take much to try to, like, figure out, like, is it the GPS one that's definitely helping him? Or is it the one that's after him trying to kill him? Come on. So yeah, guys. So last one for the day, chapter 16. This time we get a description for the stand Born This Way, which is the motorcycle stand. And I actually know that song reference too. That musical reference is to Lady Gaga. So when something happens, the motorcycle starts attacking. Once it appears, everything starts to freeze. This started because the main body touched Josuke in person at some point. And it's probably someone in the Higashikata residence. So at this point, I'm like 99% sure that it's the maid. Josuke's taking a bunch of damage from being stuck to the front of this bike. If he lets go, he's going to be slammed into a nearby pole, which is why he can't let go. And he's trying to ask the GPS for help. So the GPS is like, please make a U-turn. And he's like, I can't. You need to come up with something else. So then the phone starts ringing. And it turns out it called a taxi. But the taxi door is open and he's trying to get the driver to close it. So he ends up going flying, but he uses his stand to brace the impact against the pole, which seems to work somewhat. And he looks and the rider is gone. And he says, like, you know, if it were for that GPS, I'd be dead right now. And I'm like, yeah, your girl, she's helping you out. So he's like, I'm pretty sure I won. And he's like sniffing and saying, like, it should be any time now. And I'm like, what did you do? What did you do? So it turns out that the moment the rider disappeared, Soft and Wet was able to touch them for just a moment. And it was a frozen bubble, but it's a bubble attached to the body. So I'm like, yes. So he doesn't know where they landed, but he can get a sense. He can sense, like, the garbage being knocked over and the smell of the garbage and everything. He can get that through the bubble. So, which is pretty cool, actually, that we're getting all that. He looks around and he finally finds, surprise pride, it's the maid. Yeah. So he figures that she must have been cleaning and saw that the book was maybe, like, out of place in some way, like the bookmark was sticking out, because remember the bookmark fell, and he caught it at the last second, but maybe it wasn't in the book right, I don't know. So she goes to hit him with a pen, and it looks like she's stabbing him, but the cap just flies off the pen. So the stand comes back out, maybe because the pen got open, because technically that's like opening the pen. But Josuke uses his stand to start pummeling her like crazy. And he realizes she's who she is, like that she's their maid. And he asks if Norisuke sent her. And she replies that if he goes to where Holly Joestar is, she's gonna kill him. And that if those Higashikata people follow him there, she'll kill them too. I'm like, that's an interesting way to put that. That's a very hostile way to put that. He grabs her collar opens up, and she's got the star birthmark. I'm like, you gotta be freaking kidding me. What is going on? Is everyone a gosh darn Joestar in this? So Josuke recognizes it, of course, and he's shocked. And he asks, like, who she is, and points out that when she mentioned the family just now, she made it sound like they're her enemy. And I'm like, yes, I noticed that as well. She just repeats that if he tries to go see Holly, she'll kill him. And she's freaking out and telling him basically, like, come at me. But she's crying. She's like, she's really having a hard time. So he says, you know what? Fine. I get it. I'm not going to go. But can I please just open my phone to call Yasuho? And he reiterates, like, he won't go see Holly, but he wants to know if it's because she's ill that he doesn't want him to, that she doesn't want him to go. And he really wants to know who she is. And he says, like, look, if it really upsets you that much, and it would cause you emotional harm, then like I won't go. And I'm like, you're such a good boy. You're such a good boy. He's like, I'll go home and I'll find another way. But she starts crying and tells him, wait, please come back and let me see. And I'm like, what? She tells him to stick out his tongue. And she says, I thought you were an enemy, but, and she kind of stops and she's like, do you really not have any memories? Did you not know about me? Did you really not know when you went to the Higashikata family that I'm Holly Joestar's daughter? What? Like at this point, I'm just like, what is happening? First of all, she was not on the family tree, so I don't know if she's like a secret kid. Please tell me we're not doing affair kids again. I don't know, but like, or maybe the family tree was just done before she was born. Like, I don't know how old she's supposed to be, but I don't think she's supposed to be as old as Kira. He was like in his late 20s. So maybe, and I'm just like, so Holly has 2 kids in this, which is such a swerve, honestly, because like you're thinking, oh, okay, Kira's Jotaro and blah, blah, and then you're like, that's the end of it, right? Because now we've like checked all our boxes from the old universe, but you're forgetting this is not the old universe. Like Jonathan never had a blood brother either. And in this, he had Nicholas. Like, and it was just such a swerve to me. She would have had 2 kids. And like, what the heck is this one doing? Why is she mad at the Higashikata family? Like, what is going on? Now, guys, it gets better. So she's looking at his tongue and she's like, yep, I called it. You have 4 eyeballs and 2 tongues. And there's definitely a connecting seam. Finn. So first of all, I have so many questions and then I'll get back to what we just saw. What the heck? How is she Holly's daughter? Was she purposely kept off the family tree? What does she know about this whole situation? What is the situation with the Higashikata family? She seems really hostile, and it definitely seems like they wanted to keep the family tree a secret. It seems like nobody wants the family tree getting out, but like the Higashikatas are like guarding it. So I don't know if the Joestars and Higashikatas are guarding it together now, or if the Higashikatas are trying to keep something a secret, and these Joestar kids are trying to like find out what the heck is happening. And like, I don't know why I'm just like thinking, I'm like, did Kira get killed over this? You know, I mean, it didn't look like he was killed, but then again, like, I don't know. Like, for someone that young to die, and they're like, oh, he died of like a heart attack or something, and I'm like, or maybe they have like, Holly's ill as well, so maybe they do actually have a condition in their family. I have no idea. Did something happen between them? Like, they're cousins? But like, are they working together or are they against each other? Or are they both working towards some common goal of some knowledge that's within this family tree, but they're competing over? I don't know. So, second question. I've been thinking for a while, it feels like my first initial thought was that Josuke was a clone. I think we ruled out twin kind of fast, because even though they have the same, like almost the same DNA, which is the case with identical twins, like they're not identical. Like they look a lot alike, but they're also dressed alike, and like, so like they're not. And this blows that out of the water. Like my other theory was he was a clone, but like a failed clone, and they were trying to get rid of him or something. I mean, no, my evil Speedwagon theory, which I thought was smoking. I don't think it's true. But now then I think I said this, I had another theory that like, what if it was someone's stand, like Kira's or somebody else's, to like absorb the DNA or something of another person. I'd say absorb the person, but he didn't really get absorbed because his dead body was there, although like his balls were missing. Were half his eyes missing? Or like his eye, because like, were his eyes missing? Were his eyes missing? I meant to say, was half his tongue missing? Or I guess it would have been, how many did she say he had? Hang on. 2 tongues. Yeah, well, okay, so there's 2. I mean, obviously he doesn't have, he has them, but they're just like connected, so it makes one thing. You know what I mean. But like, was any of that missing on Kira? Because maybe he, like, this is my going theory at this point, okay? Because what I have written down here is that I think he absorbed a whole other person. I think whoever Josuke was before he woke up and now had absorbed all of these parts, I think that maybe that person had a stand that could do something like that. And honestly, like, I thought maybe it was Kira's stand. I do know from the chapter after this that's not the case. So put a pin in that, because we will learn more about Kira in the next one and his stand. But I thought that maybe like Soft and Wet was an evolution of the stand that Josuke or whoever he was before had, and that like, you know, Soft and Wet can like kind of steal things, and that maybe like, and there's more I want to say about this, I'll say it next time, but that somehow that like merged them together, because like he really does seem to be like almost like a combination, and not like, it's not like a clone situation. Like a clone, you wouldn't be able to look at a clone and say, I don't think. I mean, that just almost feels like somebody did it with a stand. And the fact that Soft and Wet can steal things, you know, I'm just kind of thinking that. So we have so chapter 16 was great. I mean, we finally get to find out, we get the specifics of Born This Way. We get to find out who it is. We get to find out that Holly has a daughter. That her daughter's a Nijimura? Okay, so what is, okay. Because a while back I said, like, don't tell me, like, Yasuho is part of the family, ha ha ha. Oh, we didn't bring the Hiroseis in, but we brought the Nijimura family into the Joestar line as well. So, like, how is she a Nijimura? Honestly, the only thing I could think, and I'm like, I hate that this has, like, franchise has made me think this way, but honestly the best thing I can think of is that Holly, maybe it wasn't even an affair because the husband died, right? Maybe she had another partner, lover, and it was the Nijimura dad, the green one. Only he wouldn't have been green in this because there's no Dio and no flesh bud cells and no nothing. He just would have, honestly though, I honestly think that their dad was a nicer person after that. He was way nicer in part 4 when we got to meet him as opposed to the way they described him. I hope it wasn't a situation like that, because that sucks and he was super abusive. But now I'm kind of thinking maybe she had a kid with the Nijimura dad, and that's the maid, this daughter. Or is she not a Nijimura at all? And she just, because now it almost kind of feels like she assumed like a personality to sneak in there and like infiltrate, you know? Like, think about it. If Kira was investigating this and got killed, then maybe of course, I think she's been their maid for a while, and that just happened a few days ago. Or maybe they both were sneaking around in there and she was working, I don't know. But it feels like she infiltrated now. It feels like she's not really their maid. It doesn't feel like she has loyalty to them. It feels like there's something wrong. Like, I don't know what's really going on, but there's definitely something going on. You know what I mean? So like, and she's a Joestar. So now is she more, well, I don't know if she's more JoJo, but she's got the hat. Although Kira had a hat too. And he's a sailor and a doctor. So I'm guessing he's the more Jotaro one. But man, Holly had 2 kids. which is so funny on so many levels because there were so many times during the original parts that I said, like, why are these people only having one child? Like, I get it for some of them because they literally died. But, like, these Joestars are beautiful. And, like, how are they only having one child? Like, if you really want to keep this series going, have more kids. And I honestly thought that Josuke was, like, part 4 Josuke was going to be Jotaro's little brother. I thought it was going to be like, you know, dad found out that the mom, Holly, almost died, and they had a little reunion, and 9 months later, there was baby Josuke, which I think honestly would have been a great way to do it, except that the timing doesn't work out because it would have had to been like 89 or 87, depending on which iteration of Araki's timeline you're going with. Some say it's 87, some say it's 89. But yeah, he would have been too young in 99. It's really bad outside, sorry. I had to look out my window. All right, guys, I think that's all I want to say about this. I'm just, next time, the only chapter I know is the one after this, and I'll have read more, so I don't even really know. I know a little bit of what's coming, but I don't even really know, like, where this is headed beyond, like, a tiny little bit. So I'm really excited to find out more. I think they're doing such a good job with, like, the mystery aspect of the story, with really subverting all our expectations with, you know, like I said, you think, oh, okay, well, cool, this is the son now. And it's no, this is a whole new universe. Holly could have 5 kids. We don't know. We don't know. But I think we're gonna find out. So I am very, very, very excited to learn more. I hope you enjoyed reading along with me. As always, thank you so much for joining me today. And please, I actually didn't even get to recap the whole entire thing, but I recapped it chapter by chapter, so I think you know how I felt about each chapter. But please, you guys, I will need your absolute help next time because, like I said, I don't know anything. Like, I'm gonna be going in like I didn't read ahead this time. Like, I'm gonna find out what happens, like, after this. So please be sure to join me next time and we will read it together. Bye for now, guys.